What's up, guys? It's Do You Want to Be Universe? This is going to be episode 19 of Ladybug, but it won't be your episode 19, but it's my episode 19, or whatever the title, whatever the actual number of this one is, 15, 16, 17, 18, or whatever. And I'm just going to hurry up and get started. Last episode actually introduced Manon's Akuma villain, and I have to say, hers is one of my favorites, only because of the cameos, and that singular moment of epicosity from Marinette, and just how her brain works and functions in a fraction of a second of how she comes up with strategies. It's just great. So let's get started. 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, this one's gonna have some like a mini talk to go with. All right, okay. Now, this is actually a good moment to say that I am kind of disappointed. It's the first time I actually have to say kind of disappointed. The power isn't all that. I can't say it's not unique, but I also can't say it's not very, bad. I don't know. The main bad things you can come out of this is that everyone looks like her. If you're as self-centered and egotistical as a certain some blonde-haired chick, then you're gonna take this as one of the worst things to ever possibly happen to you in your entire life. That you're gonna be looking like this thing that you can find at an abstract art museum, and whatnot. But as for like me, I gotta say, from the outside looking in, it doesn't seem all that bad. It just seems like something people are gonna get used to if it really is the norm. And if people get used to it, it's not a problem because then we adapt to it, and it's just like, okay, we look like this and we act like this. We don't even act like anything. We still have personalities, we have our mindset. We just look different. And how you look is very subjective to the eyes of the beholder. I call her like a giant cotton candy mixed in with a swirly pop ideal, but it's not something I can not live with if I have to look like that forever. And for a character that has a great design scheme and stuff, they could have, the power could have been more. I don't know, like power could be way better off than it actually is. Uh, let's go with like my invisible theory. Whether it be she goes invisible because she's gonna take the advantage of not many people noticing her. She turns invisible, and that's one of her powers, and she can make other things invisible, and she can see other invisible things. But the thing she turns invisible can't see under invisible things, thus having the invisible people having the invisible people not be able to see other things that are invisible, allowing them to run into things that are invisible and not be able to see other people that are invisible. But her power is that she can turn invisible and she can see other invisible things, not so she doesn't have the disadvantage of having invisible things as she turns invisible, taking her out because she can't see the invisible things because they're invisible. But that's just a concept thing that they can go off on, and it may sound a lot better in my head. It actually seems kind of flawed out loud. I get that because this is why I'm not making this show. I'm not really good with making villains unless they're kind of omni-scaled, you could say. If you've been reading my story, you know exactly what I mean when I say omni-scaled when it comes to their power. That they have multiple different powers from a particular type of category of powers that they have, whether it be stuff. I'm not going to go on a tangent on that. But there were no sense. I guess the main problem, I gotta say, if I want to discredit everything I just said as a nitpick, the main thing I gotta say is there was no threat factor. Like, there was no suspension of, like, if they don't do this in time, everything is gonna be bad. In fact, even in this episode, they counteract the main threat factor, and that's getting the Miraculous Eye from both Cat Noir and Miraculous Ladybug. When she turned Cat Noir into one of her, the Miraculous doesn't work. He doesn't have any power anymore because he looks exactly like her. And it's never been implemented that she can turn people back from that form. So in my mind, both Hawkmoth and Reflekta, or whatever her name was, just lost out on one Miraculous because you can't get it anymore. And throughout the entire time, she's trying to turn Ladybug into her, so she's going to lose another one. And again, And even though she would turn them into it, doesn't mean she won. If she turned them back, then they probably would turn back into their Miraculous Eye, and still, didn't you achieve nothing? You achieved nothing. And he even put up the threat of, if you don't get the Miraculous, I will take away your power. And thus making it so all of this that he did was pointless. Okay. So I gotta say, out of all the episodes I've seen so far, this is the one I have to say I don't 100% agree with. You may have your opinion on what you can say like the context of how evil or bad scenarios could be if she won. Because that's why I look at villains. I look at villains in the case of if they won, that's how the scale of their villainy is. Kind of like what my scaling is when it comes to the My Little Pony universe. You have Nightmare Moon. If she won, she would have banished her sister to the moon, and then she would be the ruler. While it would suck, we would just get used to her rule and stuff like that. If Discord won, our entire world, or at least a subsection of particular areas, would be just out of control, crazy, and we could kind of live with it because, you know, chocolate rain from cotton candied clouds. Don't know about you guys, but I kind of want to live in a world like that. And then you have a Starlight Glimmer. If she won in her villain-esque, whether it be she would have won of having a cult, and also having our main characters be subjected to constant cultitude and of being equal, forcefully being equal. Or the second time, when literally if she won, everything would have been gone. All of it. The final timeline they've been through before she changed her mind. Everything was gone. Whether it be T-Rex taking control, or whether it be T-Rex taking control, things happening, other villains happening, stuff like that. At the last timeline that the Twilight brought Starlight to see, everything was gone. That villainy got up the scale. If she won, this would have happened. But if this villain won, we would just look like her and kind of have to deal with it. That's literally it. Like, we look like her and kind of have to deal with it. I can't think of anything else. There's probably other things. You can tell me if you know, but that's all I got. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about this. I'm going to get started on the next episode, like right now, to see if I can really wrap my head around this. Because there's probably something good about this, and I'm just not seeing it. I hate it when I'm skeptical about something, because I never really find... I hate having a negative outtake on anything, because it feels like I'm not looking at all the goodness of what it could have been. And I'm usually a person who does that, so that's what makes it weird. Anyway, I'm just going to get started. I think I lasted a little bit too long on this one. Alright, this is Do You Want to Be Universe. See you guys next time.